Hello everyone, how are you all? Something truly magical, something exceptional nobody would have expected will be happening on this planet through the next few months alone. It will be really the opening of a whole new outlook, I would say, in a simple way. We will be taken by surprise. There will be so many things happening. And well, the big news is we are in the countdown towards the Chinese New Year, the Wood Dragon, starting on February the 9th. And this is truly exciting. I mean, the dragon energy, we already have established that now with the new planets of Gong Gong, the water dragon, and Homia, the fire goddess, fire dragon energy. So we have already these two players, and they are both super powerful this year, as I have spoken earlier. You can go back to the archive. But this was probably the most powerful alignment we had lately of through outstanding coincidence. Synchronicity, I guess, is much better word, that three planets at once are meeting within a few hours exact, dead on. Saturn and Gong Gong and Hygeia, and as I laid out, this is really the headbanging which is going on. Why couldn't I see that? Why was I so blind? And kind of also then on the other side, after not getting it for so long, that's another aspect of it. All of a sudden we are flooded with insights and understandings about health, well-being, in Pisces, in that collective sign of togetherness, of experiencing all at once, which is really amplified in these days as we are so much more starting to feel responsible, and the need arises that we are asked and step in and help out. I mean, that's what we're here for. I guess that's more and more of us will actually realize that's the real reason we are here for. We are here to help. Now, the 5th degree of Aquarius and Leo have been super pronounced. When Mercury reached that degree of where it eventually would, after having gone backward, eventually to reboot itself, and that is kind of the, you could say, the conception of that next mercurial round. This is when that degree is first activated, and then yes, Mercury after the 25th of November was still moving direct, I guess, into December 13 or so, and then turning backwards to exactly that degree. That was on January the 2nd. Guess what? January 2nd, when Mercury was starting to move forward again, we had this degree at the 10th house cusp. Actually, it was 25 something, which is just a consequent degree, which they both have super many times shown up in charts. And the 26th degree of Leo, then, that is after the storm, the rainbow. That is that degree which over and again appears. So this is today, January 27th, Uranus turning direct after months of going backwards. This is the moment Uranus, as seen from Earth, is starting to move forward again. And guess what? The moon in exactly this degree in Leo, 25th degree in Leo. And I mean, this chart by itself is unbelievable. It's really, astrology is so rich these days. I mean, I could go on for hours, you know that. I really try to become more concise and focused and just give you the grit of it in a way. So, I mean, we had Pluto entering Aquarius just not even a week ago, on the 21st of January, and that was actually, I just wanted to quickly show you what the solar flares were in that time. It was really unreal, the intensity spike around those days when Pluto entered Aquarius. So it entered here around this time, 12:30 on January the 21st in the afternoon, 12:36 it was exactly, and then on heliocentrically pretty much a day later, somewhere in this area, and you see just the big reception. These were all super strong flares. This was actually the largest one, an M5.1, early on the 23rd, and I saved you this. This was a rare event. This was a so-called double flare in two areas on the Sun. Simultaneously, there were big flares going off 500,000 kilometers distance between the two, and it's really that quantum entanglement. You see here a perfect example. One energy the Sun expresses, even though it's huge, it's one single pointed, that's the word I'm only using, consciousness, which spiked off in stereo fashion, really very Plutonic, as Pluto is a double planet, as you know, the only one really we know of that balanced proportions between the two bodies. Most of the, pretty much all planets, I should say, who do have moons, the moons are relatively small in comparison to the planet's size. Pluto, it's that much that the mutual gravitational center between the two bodies, the Pluto body and the Charon body, the moon of Pluto, their gravitational center is in between in empty space, and so it's really that gives that perception of duality, of polarity. Interesting too that the two are locked into each other. So if you were living on, let's say, Charon, the moon, you would see Pluto always exactly in the same place in the sky, and then whatever the stars around the groupings would kind of move 6.9 days it takes the two to rotate around each other, which is really also quite amazingly timed to the weekly rhythm we have here on planet Earth. So very much in that resonance with what is going on here. That's why this planet has such a strong influence too. Anyway, it was interesting that this flare went off just kind of as a little raisin on the cake to receive Pluto in Aquarius. And that was when Pluto was exactly at the 4th house cusp in a perfect T-square. And here you see the same axis again. You remember, those of you who follow astrology, this was the degree where Jupiter and Saturn had their conjunction at 0.27 or something on December the 20th in 2020. That was that big, really big reception, big celebration of those two planets, first in many years to come. I mean, to start that new cycle in the air signs for 2 centuries. Jupiter and Saturn will meet in air signs only. The last 200 years they met in earth signs. Actually, 1980 was really the first time when Libra was activated, and I keep saying, those of you who are old enough, you will understand, those were forward-looking 2 decades, 1980 till 2000. There was a real thrust into new dimensions. There was so much hope, so much, how to say that, visions of what would be possible, and then comes the big bummer in the year 2000. We go back into the actually fixed Earth Taurus, where the two met in May 2000, setting a 20-year frequency. And sure enough, we were really thrown back into the dark ages, and with whatever happened in 9/11 and Fukushima and all of that, and many, many more issues too. These were just the most outstanding. But we are back in the air energy since December 2020. We have come back into Aquarius this time. Yes, this is a bit, kind of a difficult beginning. The beginning of Aquarius is hexagram 60, restraint, still into 2 degrees 00. Again, if you're interested in the exact breakdown of the 64 hexagrams around the zodiac, in the description of the video I always give the links. Please always check these links. They always are relevant to what I'm talking about. Anyway, that's where you get the breakdown. And restraint, yes, that was that kind of overall theme we were given for these 20 years, from 2020 to 2040. And I guess it makes lots of sense once we understand the volume, the possibilities, the infinite options that are just about to open in front of us. There needs to be some focus, some restraint, otherwise we would be overwhelmed. So this is a really great grounding energy into this new frequency, the restraint energy, which overlaps from Capricorn into Aquarius. Makes so much sense. These hexagrams are giving so much of a depth understanding of each of the zodiacal signs. And are we just speaking of Aquarius? Yes, we are definitely in the age of Aquarius, I would say, which is all that awareness of the unseen, the frequencies, as I laid out in one of my last recordings, which become increasingly important. We start understanding that if we generate the right frequency, things manifest literally in front of us. It's magical. We are starting to understand the forces behind the obvious, behind the apparent. We start accessing deeper layers of reality where things really work in magnetic forces, electric forces, and it's much more than that. It's actually you're tapping into sacred geometry, the structure of the quantum vacuum, where everything arises out of and everything eventually disappears into again. As at CERN, one of the interesting little insights we got from that whole show is that particles literally are emerging out of the void and disappearing into the void without leaving a trace. And that's how everything works. The quantum vacuum is extremely rich in resources and power, and it's all locked into empty space. And if we find ways to access it and to make it work for us, then everything is possible. Then literally there is no limits. And that is all which really starts opening its vaults, aside from all the vaults of darkness, which are also opened. And I wrote a little note here. The Age of Enlightenment starts exactly that moment when Pandora's box breaks open, when all shadows are released to be seen, when the vaults of darkness are opened. And that is really there when we start seeing everything we didn't want to see, everything we didn't even think would exist. It is that kind of event we are getting into. into the deep waters of the dragon, also the very creative energy of the wood dragon. We will be able to literally make something out of it. That's what the element wood is in the Chinese. Wood is the only one which expands. You have fire, which is a static. Yes, it lives, absolutely. You have earth, which is really static. You have water, again, which waves, which just flows and whatnot. And then you have metal, which is also something more static. Yes, metal is the other really interesting element, which is all about the extraction of something out of, which again needs intelligence, and it's kind of a add-on to nature. You could say an extension. That's where the human genius comes in, of being able to link different ideas and facts and thoughts and create a plan, a structure. So the age of enlightenment begins when the walls of shadow, of darkness are opened. I found that pretty strong statement, and that's exactly what I see happening. Now, let me go back to today, or actually yesterday's full moon. Leo full moon it was. Here you see moon and sun. That was exactly over the 0 meridian again. And Jupiter is towering over, really shining. And Jupiter, whenever Jupiter is accentuated, big stuff is happening, loud, turbulent, big drum rolls. Nobody can miss what is going on. This is what Jupiter there in this pole position really is showing. And not even that alone. You see Uranus 1905, and as I told you, this was just a couple days prior to Uranus stationing on the 27th, tomorrow. So Uranus already is practically at standstill. Whenever a planet is in that phase of just about to turn into the other direction, it becomes even more powerful. It is kind of the slower something moves, the more impact it has. That's the idea, and it is perfectly within less than a degree, I should say, which is really perfect, T-squaring the ascendant and the descendant. Now, this is the Leo full moon, and what degree do we have here at the 7th house cups, 2001, and bet what this is when on the 9th of February the Chinese New Year will begin, when the Sun and Moon are at 2040. Now let me give you a couple of words to the meaning of the Chinese year. This is the most important full moon, new moon of the year. Why? It is the midpoint between two cardinal beginning points, the winter solstice, which is really the conception of the idea again, and then we have the birth of the year, really, with spring equinox. So, but the real foundation is laid deep in winter, in the middle of the night, and then the next big moment naturally is sunrise, in that sense, when the natural cycle really starts taking off with 0 Aries. So the midpoint between the two, and that is what the Chinese insight is founding upon. This is something very practical. That's the strong thing about all of the Chinese wisdom. It's extremely practical. You can apply it. So they understood over long observations, naturally, that this is the most important midpoint between two seasons, the 2 seasons of new beginnings, and as everything in this universe we're living in is about relating. Yes, everything. Think of it. Think if you were just the only one. How boring would that be? It is that play of duality, of meeting others, is even so meeting your body, meeting your own mind, meeting your own taste, but it's always comes as a afterthought. First we have to really experience this polarity out there with other beings. Yes, this is one of my maxims, so to say. Life is all about relationships. And that's why midpoint charts work. That's why midpoint charts are so extremely telling. They show us how two energies meet, where they have something in common. And that is really where the meeting happens, in that areas which we have in common. That's where we overlap. And again, through the whole concept of quantum entanglement, it is then you become, you get access to the whole of the other being through that little tiny dot of overlapping that is all there is necessary to it. So the wood dragon, yes, starts on the 9th of February 2024. Now, I also looked at the Mayan calendar. It is also always interesting, the synchronicity there. So let me show you this quickly. Here it is. Okay. Also the link below, you can follow. And I right away also want to share with you this site. I will give you the address. That is where you can calculate the conversions. So this is for today, Saturday 27th of January, is 8 Kawak. That is the blue galactic storm. This is the day now Uranus turns direct on a storm day. I mean, it can't be beaten. This is an amazing backing and giving it even a little bit more of impact. As you know, I mean, the lunar nodes are in shock and thunder into May. Then we had the after the heavy storm, the rainbow over and again showing up, and then guess what? Okay, I know, sorry, I'm jumping a little bit all over the place as I always do when I'm inspired, but this is hexagram 49, where the sun and the moon meet. 49, revolution. You wouldn't believe that. Yes, revolution, that's the name of the hexagram. And the let me see, I mean, you can look that up again. It's the let me see where I do have it here. I wrote it down. It's sorry about that. The second line, right, the second line of hexagram 49 moves, evolves is really the word I should use, evolves the energy into hexagram 43, which is breakthrough. I mean, it couldn't be much better. And Earth at the other end of the spectrum here, this is hexagram 4, which is youthful ignorance. I love that one. This is such a playful energy. It gives you the credit for being ignorant and allowing to make all the mistakes, going through the simple experiences of smartening up. Yes, I guess that's very, very telling of where we are as a planet. And the movement, the evolution goes into hexagram 23, which is splitting apart one of the really, I would say, shattering experiences are when the roof falls in. That's the idea. It is a very unstable structure, and it is always related to a process which takes something down and changes it into, gives the space for it to change in something new. That's kind of the idea. And again, very Plutonic. I mean, you can't make these things up. And then there's Pluto here at the fourth house cusp of this moment when the new moon is exact in Greenwich. So yeah, I mean, overall, everything is just so massively similar and all piling on top of each other. So let's now go to the Mayan calendar where I originally wanted to take you. So the let's go back first to this one here. So today, as I say, is this guy here, the blue galactic storm. You see, you read it from here, and then this is the 8th day of the wave of the heart of the human. How beautiful is this? This is the energy where we really start seeing what our potentials are if we start working together, if we help each other. And it naturally is kind of triggered, you could say, kindled by whatever we are experiencing in our personal lives. Naturally, in the situations we are getting into, they all carry that same frequency. So tomorrow is a storm day. That is a great day for interaction, for meeting other people, for speaking your opinion, sharing your thoughts. It is kind of, you're having that intensity of a lightning strike, bringing life into earth, literally awakening something in others. That's kind of the energy. And actually tomorrow are a couple more alignments. I hopefully can make another small video. I don't want to pack it all in this one, but tomorrow also is a day of great recognition of exactly what we were speaking about, of that kind of, you start all of a sudden, a surface becomes transparent and you're seeing beyond it, and you're seeing something you probably not all of it you would like to see. Really, it is that of that nature. That is what's happening tomorrow too. This is Hygeia, again, health, well-being. It's all about that these days. Naturally has an exact conjunction with Nessus, which is that most corrupt energy there is, as far as characters we have in our gallery of our soap opera, the different characters. And I really like to see these different planets as the characters in a soap opera. So Nessus is the dark guy. This is the one who is betraying and then stealing and murdering and really out of his mind in that sense, pathological, as I like to call it. So it is that kind of alignment at the same time as Uranus turns direct. So this will also set the theme for that whole next few months. This is really opening the Pandora's box, which we are getting into. So it is important to have a perspective beyond that, and that is what I want to give you shortly. It is these next few months which are certainly very dense and very dark and very difficult, but also extremely auspicious, because if we can get past that initiation, there's enormous potentials opening up there, and that is really, we have to let the future pull us through this wormhole, through this difficult passage, which we naturally have to go through. There's no way around it. You have to go through the door into the new dimension. The door might be frightening. It's necessary. So anyway, let me get onto this again. So you see we're getting into the next column, and on February the 2nd, keep that date in mind, we're entering the 13 days of the celestial snake, which is naturally also dragon energy. How can that be? So the year of the dragon actually will be initiated on the 9th of February, which is then, so if this is the 2nd, the 9th is, I wrote it down, maybe should I say it right, that will be the yellow galactic human. Yellow galactic human. And bear in mind, we are now, as of January the 20th, that started, we are in the 13-day sequence, which is led, which is colored by that basic frequency of connecting to that human heart, of accepting all the colors of the rainbow in a way, all the different emotions, the whole spectrum. That is really what the meaning is of this day sign. It is embracing that fullness, that whole variety, panorama. No judgment is in it in a way. It's the understanding that it's the all and the everything, which really makes everything so precious. So it is a truly humbling and beautiful experience we are getting into personally, collectively, and this is definitely going to be the tenor of these coming 365 days. By the way, as it's the most important new moon of the year, as I say, it has also tremendous potentials for predictions. Naturally, whatever is the energetic layout of a year is showing itself most practically on that day. Let me show you here as an illustration. I think I have it open here. Is it that one? No, it's, let's see which one it is. I think, yeah, that's the one. That is the year we're just coming out of. I just thought as a little illustration, I want to show you what I mean by that enormous potential of predictable, able to see what's coming. But I have to shift it here into the geocentric view. That makes much more sense. Okay. Redraw. Okay, so this was January the 21st, 2023, and naturally, well, I want to come back to this for a second. You see, each hexagram of the 64 is 5 degrees, 37 minutes and 30 seconds, so a bit less than 6 degrees. So naturally, there's about 5 to 6 different oracles in each sign of the zodiac. So each year in the Chinese calendar can start with either of the 6. Last year it was here in that very first section which we spoke about, was which is coloring these whole 20 years, as if we look at the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, restraint. Restraint, being held back, having to adapt to certain limitations. So it was definitely that kind of a year. Everybody was kind of getting to experience this in their own way. Very restricted, in a way difficult, but also it definitely allowed us to grow roots and to grow strength and stability within that chaotic environment we're in, and that chaotic environment definitely can clear into vision with this black moon opposition. You see, most perfect within 3 minutes or so. This is exceptionally perfect opposition. This is the place where the moon is farthest from Earth, and Earth, naturally as seen from the sun, is then in that same spot. So that meant really coming to meet the shadow, to meet the dark spot within everything and anything. It was really, in that sense, already that we are on track for opening the last few doors, pulling the last few wheels. Yes, it will be the most kind of biggest ones, which still are to fall in a way, but we have been prepared in increments to really be as much as we can be ready for what's to come. I don't think any of us is really ready. It happens when it happens, and we have, that is what nature provided us with the personal instructions. We came with them, they are within ourselves, and when the situation comes, they will be activated. We will know exactly what to do, how to handle a certain situation. All that intelligence is contained within nature, and I keep repeating, we are part of nature. That's why it's so important to really connect with your physical body, to take every day suggested 20 minutes to sit with yourself in silence and tune into your body. Feel the energy as you're receiving it from the universe through your heart. Fill yourself with that pure love energy which is everywhere, the loving presence. Channel it, anchor it, bring it into this dimension. That this is really the work we have to do. That is the only work really. All the rest will fall in place, because this will again generate a frequency for all the other people, all the other players to really get activated and play the role they have come here for, they are designed, and everybody is in the exact right place, has been put there by existence. Jacqueline Hobbs, Oracle Girl, just said that the other day. I mean, I know that, I have known that since early childhood. I was here in the exact right space. I had the exact right experiences. We all do. If you think back, just for how, for example, you might have met your wife, your friend, your girlfriend, whomever. Wasn't there an accidental thing which happened? Most cases, I mean, there has to be some amazing timing involved in that too. There's great intelligence. Everything again is quantum entangled, as I said earlier. So this was last year, and this is what we're just coming out of, and I could keep going. This was a difficult chart to start with. Venus-Saturn conjunction here, and again you see the 25th degree of Aquarius, where Saturn is. So Saturn really is, wherever Saturn is, it pulls us to that place, wants us to put roots in that degree. This is Saturn at its best, is really helping us to find the inner structure and to access the matrix in a way that it can become our greatest ally. Yes, first we have to conquer it. First we have to make it ours, and that only comes after some challenges we have to master. Anyway, we have definitely gone through that Venus Saturn in Aquarius, all the, I would say, the sobering experiences in relation to the world. That was definitely here well shown. Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time here with what we are just coming out of. I want to really get into where we are going. So anyway, the Leo full moon today, and yes, the degree of the where Sun and Moon will meet on the 9th of February is here exactly at the 7th house cusp. Now let's look at this 21st degree of Aquarius for a minute. Let's look at its Sabian symbol. Again, this is, I mean, it's all really fitting so neatly together. That reads, so this is a disappointed and disillusioned woman courageously faces a seemingly empty life. Rudyard writes here, the capacity to meet emotionally upsetting experiences in human relationships with strength of character and personal integrity. How about that? That's pretty good advice. Sorry. At the emotional level, we now see a woman confronted with sharp disappointment and forced to face the vanishing of cherished illusions. To manage such crises, which are really tests of inner strength and perhaps compassion, it urges us to develop resilience under adversity. Here we go. Okay, and I said it was hexagram 49, revolution. And yeah, I really wanted to read you this too, even though I haven't read it yet. I'm curious myself. See, there's so much information in all these systems, and if we combine it, we get really a 3D picture of what this year will bring. Yes, revolution. And as I said, it is the what did I say, the second line. And again, we start at 1852 and 30 seconds in Aquarius up to 24:30. So if you divide those 5 degrees and something to 6 equal parts, then the second of these 6 parts is the second line, and that is the moving line. In that sense, that's the activated line. This will evolve into a drawn through line, into a yang line. This yang is male, yin is female. So the broken line turns into a yang, into a strong line, and then you see you have 5 strong lines and the one at the top. This is then the evolution into breakthrough. As I said, let's make this a bit bigger so you can read it if you like. Oh, sorry, that's not what I wanted. Okay, yeah, too many options here. So let's go back here, and to go back to here, this I wanted to make a bit bigger. Here we go. Okay. Again, I put a link here of that site. You can read that yourself if you like to follow up. And then it's the second line, which is activated, where when one's own day comes, one may create revolution. Starting brings good fortune, no blame. How about that? It's an invitation. It says, come on, get into this place. The life wants you to go into this direction. Go start a revolution. And again, I mean, you don't have to do anything really. You just have to generate a frequency, and then it will fall in place. It is really as simple as that, because all the players are already there in the holes. We just have to tickle them out to fully get their show on the road, and that is an energy thing. So anyway, you get the picture. It's all over the board, all the same message. It gets intense, it gets great, it gets wonderful, but first of all, it is very challenging. We see also the Jupiter T-square here to the full moon today. You feel it. It's, I would say, oscillating. It's a really super powerful charged energy around already. Now all the personal planets are in Capricorn, and actually that's another of tomorrow's special alignments, together with what I already said, Uranus turning direct, and Nessus and Hygeia in heliocentric astrology merging. Let me show you this chart. I keep speaking of it. Here it is. No, that's not it. This is the one. So here you have it. Nessus and Hygeia, or Hygeia, however you pronounce it, being the main belt asteroid, representing that feminine quality of embodying health and well-being, because all the asteroids by their nature are considered feminine. I think that's a fair approach. It's a place of service. All the asteroids, as an overarching word, I would call service. It is connecting the inner planets with the outer planets. That's what the asteroid belt is doing. It's linking that big gap between Mars and Jupiter. The inner planets, as I say, are now all in Capricorn. Okay, now I lost everything. Here we are. That's where we want to go back to. Venus, Mercury and Mars. So this is really starting to learn the mechanics of how things work. I think that's one of the real strong points about Capricorn energy. It gets into the cracks. It starts understanding the workings of whatever it is confronted with, how to best make this energy work. Love, I would say Mercury as in a general way, it is perception of reality, how we filter it, what we then think, what we make of it, and Mars actually is action. All very Capricornian these days. And then, yes, we're getting into the dragon year, and then we have Aries here. Okay, those of you who are new to this I know it's a bit of it's a lot, and I'm really pulling my hat to all of you who are daring to learn astrology and really get their feet wet here. I mean, this is definitely not beginner level, so I really admire you for being here. Thank you for your support. If you like to chip something in, there's links below too. Anyway, Aries is also a feminine energy, seeking truth, seeking integrity, and not shying back from conflict in order to find a higher level of truth, a greater integrity. These are really the words which are the strongest. Okay, then just a few more things. I don't want to keep you too long here, but just a few more things. This is the heliocentric chart of the. Okay, back one more time. This is I also wanted to point out. Venus, Mars, Pluto are in an applying conjunction. That means they all move towards each other. Venus is faster than Mars, and Mars is faster than Pluto. So pretty much around the same time, then they will catch up with each other. About a week or so later, we will get to that in a later recording. But already this energy is building. Whenever Venus and Mars are involved, this is real creation, something you can take home with you in the end after the show is over, something which has been brought into this reality, made, whatever. And again, Capricorn, I mean, as we said before, it's all about the real stuff. So there's lots of creative energy in this. And then Mars and Mercury. Okay, this is a whole other chapter, and I really want to put it in a few sentences. October 14 was the last solar eclipse. Hours prior to the solar eclipse, the moon covered Mercury, which is called a lunar occultation. That means from some places on Earth, Mercury was disappearing behind the moon for about an hour or so. These are really rare events. And a few hours after that solar eclipse of October 14th, Mars was disappearing behind the moon. So this gave a clear message that Mercury and Mars would be strongly highlighted in the months to come. Mars and Mercury, that's dispute. That's when we start using our knowledge and getting active with it, speaking it out, putting it into action, what we see. That's kind of everything which is about Mars and Mercury. Now, Mars and Mercury are flanking the root of this chart, actually, with Pluto pretty much at the center. So this is, you could say, when we bring down Pluto's energy into the actional and shared experience realm of this planet, naturally with Pluto here at the helm. But if you do the math, you see, it's pretty simple. You just add the numbers. 34 is 17 minus 15 is a 2, and 28 and the 25, that's pretty much 26 or so. So 226 would be the exact midpoint of Mercury and Mars, where they meet their energies, put it into kind of these midpoints are super, super important. It's a whole other way, a whole other level to read charts. So, okay, I mean, I have to get back to this once more. The North Node, the evolutionary direction, is linking up with Chiron also here within a few days of exactness. This is already super exact. This energy already has been activated quite a bit. Actually, just again to go back to Gong Gong and Saturn and Hygeia, you see the moon was here on January the 17th. So that was the headbanging thing. Anyway, okay. Then in the heliocentric, okay, just short. Heliocentric, naturally, Mercury and Mars are in a completely different place because we're looking from a different place, but still they come about to meet each other here on February the 9th, heliocentrically. Found that's pretty interesting. And Mars here on the intentional realm, that is what heliocentric is the background energy. It is what brings life into our system. That's the energy which is loaded onto each photon, each quantum particle coming from the sun. And as you know, it takes 8 minutes from those energies to travel here. That's the light speed. So what I want to say is each particle contains that Mars Vesta Pianor energy, and also Pholus and Quawar. That's a big mouthful. Okay, let me translate. First of all, Mercury Mars again. This is exactly that same combination we were speaking of becoming vocal, of expressing what you're thinking, of becoming actional. So each of us is invited to do this in their own lives. Pholus is going in new directions, trying something out we have not done before, doing something you were holding back on for many years it can be, and all of a sudden you're doing it. That's when Pholus is activated. Quawar is a creation energy. Always comes kind of with a challenge at first, a hoop to jump through, something more of the difficult nature to face before the payout comes afterwards. That's kind of Quawar. And then we have Pianor. This is the strong man, the freedom loving spirit, also a centaur. All the centaurs I have now here in this color, in this magenta, so we get a bit of a understanding of what they are. And then we have Vesta, which is the asteroid of worship, of doing something for a higher purpose, veneration, going with the call from the higher dimensions and following through and enacting what we are meant to do from that place of it's literally a service in the sense of serving a greater good, serving the universal intelligence we are part of. It's kind of, yes, in the end it is, you're doing it for yourself in a way, because you're everything. That's kind of where it ends. So I found this super interesting. For Washington, that same chart, Year of the Wood Dragon starting, the 26th degree of Leo again, the after the storm, the rainbow. Can't make that stuff up. And Uranus exactly in midheaven. I mean, you can you don't need to be an astrologer to kind of read this. That's revolution. I guess that's exactly what we're seeing down south, starting to take off in big ways. And again, it's happening everywhere. It could be that it's most clearly playing out at first in the United States, and it sure is. I mean, we already see it. It's in full progress. Yes, it can get a few levels higher still, and that's probably what it will, as we now have that standoff between Texas and the administration in Washington. This is just the beginning, and it's really amazing how that all of a sudden has become a big issue. Tomorrow is actually the deadline of taking down these what you call that, these barbed wires they have put up. Anyway, you know the story. I'm not telling you anything new. It just kind of illustrates the intensity of this energy we are getting into. Not even have I mentioned that the new moon on February the 9th, with Earth on the other side, is in an exact T-square to Uranus. Okay, I mean, Uranus, revolution and breakthrough, new things, tearing down what is no more serving, building something new, innovation. It's all over the board, and naturally with not only Uranus but also Jupiter being in Taurus, this actually the first of the three earth signs, if you will. If we start counting from Aries, then Taurus is where the seed germinates, sprouts, breaks through Earth, and powerful expanse, shows itself as a new form of existence. It is a super powerful sign of manifestation, of something coming into form. Uranus and Jupiter both have that excitable energy of feeding something, bringing it down to Earth. This is really the kind of the one I like personally to look forward to the most, is when those two meets, which will be sometime in summer, I guess in July or so. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's already much earlier. I think it's May now, as I have second thoughts. Anyway, we will get there. I always say I don't like really to look ahead too far. It takes the fun out of it. I really like to be in the moment as much as I can. That's why also I never really will post much of what's to come. Sometimes I do if I look really into the far future, which sometimes is also helpful too, as I earlier said. Okay, I think we are through. I showed you all the charts I wanted to. That's again last year's chart, and here is last but not least once more the one of the Wood Dragon upcoming for Greenwich with Leo at the 10th house cusp. I quickly should mention this is hexagram 31. 31 is the courting dance of nature. It's actually a really beautiful hexagram. It's the first one of the second section of the I Ching. Yes, I really want to share that with you too, so bear with me just a couple more minutes on that. I think here is it. Yes, here is 31. Yes. The name of the hexagram means universal, general, and in a figurative sense, to influence, to stimulate. The upper trigram is Tui, the joyous, that's the lake. The lower is Ken, that's the mountain keeping still. So it's the lake above and the mountain below. By its persistent quiet influence, the lower, the rigid trigram of mountain stimulates the upper weak trigram, the lake, which responds to this stimulation cheerfully and joyously. Ken, the lower trigram, is the youngest son, the upper Tui is the youngest daughter. Thus, the universal mutual attraction between the sexes represented. Just as the first part of Book 1 begins with hexagram of heaven and earth, the foundation of all that exists, the second part, with hexagram 31, begins with the hexagram of courtship and marriage, the foundations of all social relationships. So there's again something really extremely social here too. And actually I found it interesting, the ascendant of this chart, let me just go back to it once more, that's hexagram 32, which is the next level up in that sense. And it's about duration and consistency, which is the next level up. And after the courtship, you get married and you have a strong bond. That is exactly what this hexagram means, and this is really quite an interesting coincidence. The two signs of two mates first meeting and then building a strong relationship. Let me read it to you. The strong trigram Chen, which is thunder this time, is above the weak trigram Sun, that's wind, is below. The hexagram is the universe. Sorry, this hexagram is the inverse of the preceding one. Yes, the one we just looked at, 31. In the latter, we have influence or stimulation. Here we have union as an enduring condition. Beautiful. The two images are thunder and wind, which are likewise constantly paired phenomena. Thunder and wind, yes, they go well together. The lower trigram indicates gentleness within, the upper movement without. In the sphere of social relationships, the hexagram represents the institution of marriage as the enduring union of the sexes. So you get the idea. It is really about building relationships with all kinds of wonderful people. The networking gets into its most interesting phase. I guess it is a natural consequence of outer pressures becoming more challenging, that we extend our tentacles in new directions, and our neurons make new interconnections, and I mean, it's really that what it is a network of intelligence, and that is what our greatest advantage is, that we can use our intelligence in a creative way. There's always new options, new possibilities popping up out of nowhere. It's that magic which is on our side. Anyway, thanks again for listening, and yes, again, super challenging at first, the next few months, but super auspicious in the end. That's kind of in a nutshell. Thanks for being here. Love you all. Bye bye. Hello everyone, how are you all? Something truly magical, something exceptional nobody would have expected will be happening on this planet through the next few months alone. It will be really the opening of a whole new outlook, I would say, in a simple way. We will be taken by surprise. There will be so many things happening. And well, the big news is we are in the countdown towards the Chinese New Year, the Wood Dragon, starting on February the 9th. And this is truly exciting. I mean, the dragon, that's another aspect of it. All of a sudden we are... Well, the not most clearly playing out at first in the United States, and it sure is. I mean, we already see it. It's in full progress. Yes, it can get a few levels higher still, and that's probably what it will, as we now have that standoff between Texas and the administration in Washington. This is just the beginning, and it's really amazing how that all of a sudden has become a big issue. Tomorrow is actually the deadline of taking down these what you call that, these barbed wires they have put up. Anyway, in the holes, you just have to tickle them out to fully get their show on the road. It's a lot, and I'm really pulling my hat to all of you who are daring to